Okay, good morning. Today we'll be going over the informed consent to dual agency. Okay. New Jersey Realtor standard form of informed consent to dual agency. Buyer. This agreement evidences buyer's consent that the brokerage firm, as buyer's agent, may act as a disclosed dual agent in order to represent both buyer and seller in the same real estate transaction, and seeks buyer's consent to allow buyer's agent to act as a disclosed dual agent when the opportunity arises. Buyers should be aware that a real estate licensee may legally act as a disclosed dual agent only with the buyer's and seller's informed written consent. Buyer understands that disclosed dual agency representing more than one party to a transaction has the potential of creating a conflict of interest in that both seller and buyer may intend to rely on the buyer's agent's advice, and their respective interests may be adverse to each other. Therefore, when acting as a disclosed dual agent, buyer's agent will not represent the interest of buyer to the exclusion or detriment of the interest of a seller, nor will a buyer's agent represent the interest of seller to the exclusion and detriment of the interest of buyer. As a disclosed dual agent of both the seller and the buyer, buyer's agent will be working equally for both parties to the real estate transaction and will provide services to complete the transaction without the full range of fiduciary duties ordinarily owed by an agent who represents buyer alone or the seller alone. In the preparation of offers and counteroffers between buyer and seller, buyer's agent will act only as an intermediary to facilitate the transaction rather than as an active negotiator representing either the buyer or seller in a fiduciary capacity. By consenting to this dual agency, buyer is giving up the right to undivided loyalty and will be owed only limited duties of disclosure by the buyer's agent. For example, buyer acknowledges the buyer's agent as a disclosed dual agent is not permitted under law to disclose to either buyer or seller any confidential information which has been or will be communicated to buyer's agent by either of the parties to the transaction. Moreover, buyer's agent is not permitted to disclose, without the express written permission of the seller, to the buyer that such seller will accept a price less than the full listing price. Nor will buyer's agent disclose, without express written permission of the buyer, to the seller that the buyer will pay a sum greater than the price offered by buyer. It is also impermissible for buyer's agent to advise or counsel either the buyer or seller on how to gain advantage at the expense of the other party on the basis of confidential information obtained from or about the other party. Other potential buyers may be interested in the same properties as buyer. It is agreed that buyer's agent may represent such other potential buyers whether such representation arose prior to or arises after this consent. In any such situation, buyer agrees that buyer's agent will not disclose to any other potential buyer the terms of the buyer's offer or any other confidential information concerning the buyer, and also will not disclose to buyer the terms of any other buyer's offer to any confidential information concerning the other buyers. Buyer acknowledges receipt of the Consumer Information Statement on New Jersey Real Estate Relationships. If you haven't seen that, check out my other video. I name a licensee as an authorized representative of the name of the brokerage firm, intend as of this time to work with you, buyer, as a buyer's agent and disclosed dual agent if the opportunity arises. If buyer does not understand all of the provisions of this informed consent to dual agency, legal advice should be sought before signing. By signing below, buyer acknowledges that buyer has read and understood this informed consent to dual agency and gives consent to buyer's agent to act as a disclosed dual agent and to work with other potential buyers. Buyer signatures, the date, and the brokerage firm address, city, and then the signature of the salesperson. That's it for today. That was the informed consent to dual agency buyer in the state of New Jersey, standard New Jersey Realtors form. Thank you. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.